Blue 12's Stray has finally arrived, and maybe I've finally gone crazy, but I honestly feel like we may be witnessing the rise of a new power publisher. This game is being published by Annapurrna Interactive, a relatively young publisher by most standards, having only published their first game 5 years ago in 2017 with the splash release of What Remains of Edith Finch, a game in which clearly someone at AP Interactive took an extreme liking to the cat sequence and subsequently requisitioned a whole ass game out of it. And god damn, did they come out of the gate throwing some fucking hands.
We're going deep and we're going hard. Surely you can't be serious. I'm serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Backing daring titles like Donut County, Gone Home, and the, retrospectively mind you, but nevertheless tragically titled Outer Wilds. AP Interactive was founded in 2016 with the purpose of entering the video game industry by its parent company, Annapurrna Pictures, who, if you haven't heard of them, you've definitely heard of their movies: True Grit, Her, American Hustle, Vice, Sausage Party. The company was staffed by 2 AP Pictures executives, along with a host of other game development veterans that came from the likes of Sony and Warner Brothers. Their mission is to publish games that are personal, emotional, and original. Coming hot off the heels of Neon White, another indie title developed by the same guy who made Donut County, which seemingly came out of nowhere to critical success. AP Interactive is looking to cement themselves as one of the premier gaming publishers in an industry that seems to get more and more heinous by day, that continues to see record returns in spite of dissatisfaction and vitriol from the gaming community being at an all-time high.
You think you do, but you don't.
The release of Stray is proof of this ambition. The marketing for this game has been absolutely crazy. Leading up to its release, it became Steam's most wishlisted game and was on sale for pretty much the entire month prior to launch day, in addition to dropping with the brand new PS Plus. They've set up partnerships with animal shelters to help save cats. They're also releasing a limited edition cat carrier, and they're even hosting a pop-up cat cafe in New York City to celebrate the release. Annapurrna is pushing this game hard. They have complete confidence in the product Blue 12 has created and want to make sure it gets as much exposure as possible in spite of its limited console support. But how is the actual game? It couldn't be bothered to launch at midnight properly like every other video game. But that's why we're all here, right? Not because you needed to know that they worked with a cat programmer, and by the way, most of the team also owns cats. The game is set in a fictionalized adaptation of the notorious Kowloon walled city that was famously demolished in China back in 1983. Same year your boy was born. AP Interactive seems to have a fixation on games that feature time, deep narratives, and exploration with minimal guidance. Outer Wilds is the ultimate expression of this. You play a space explorer and you're an archaeologist, but also it's a psychological horror game. Just as a side note, if there are any of you out there that are huge fans of the movie Gravity, but maybe you also enjoyed the drunk driving simulator at the California Science Center, I don't know, then Outer Wilds is the game for you. Anyway, back to Stray. This game is set in a time period of a distant future where all of humankind has gone extinct shortly after Donald Trump's re-election in 2024. You play as a cat who is separated from his family, and your goal is to reunite with them, and honestly, that's all you really need to know. Your one mission is to get out of the slums via an elevator, but it's broken, and also, you have a robot friend that hangs out in your cat pack. The attention to detail in this game is stunning. Blue 12 has created a vivid world that feels alive despite being set in a post-apocalyptic hellscape, which is populated by robots that have such colorful personalities despite bearing an uncanny resemblance to fucking crash test dummies.
Electric light.
I mean, look at the absolute trip on this guy, man. He's got the straw hat and the flamingo kimono. Man's over here dressed like he retired at 23. Stray is one of the most engaging platformers I've played in a long time. As much as it appears to be non-gamer friendly, it does have its fair share of difficulty spikes. The puzzles and objectives are intelligently designed such that it makes you feel clever for solving them, especially when you're observant enough to beat the game at its own pace, to the point where you feel like a cat toying around with the game itself. Stray will say, okay, come on, let's play the video game now, and you'll just be like... You also have the option of being a really sweet kitty or an evil tyrant bent on planetary domination. Like this cat. This is Eva. No, don't aw. Don't aw. This cat is 8 pounds of pure evil. She is a terrorist. A terrorist. She loves doing this thing where she'll come over and be like, "Excuse me, sir, but could you offer some belly rubs for the belly rubless?" Sure, kid, I could spare a few. The only criticism I really have for this game is its length and its console exclusivity. For a game that only came to PlayStation, the haptic feedback on the controller should have been far more fleshed out than it is in its current state. I mean, this is just lazy. A cat's paw pads are incredibly sensitive. They can feel vibrations, pressure, texture. The cat requested that I make a correction. She's actually 7 pounds. Ladies and gentlemen, £7. She also gave me permission to ask you to subscribe. Ghost of Tsushima was able to effectively enact haptic feedback on horseback through grass and stone. The only halfway decent feedback Stray has to offer is when you lose and your kitty gets that big suck. The reasoning for this though also explains its short length, and that's the size of the studio. Blue 12 isn't some big budget AAA developer. They are a small team who have created something amazing that is great fun and works. An incredible feat given that they only had 37 playtesters, which yeah, that sounds like a lot until you realize that Dying Light 2, for example, had fucking this many. And let me give you a couple of tips that I learned. When you start the game, do yourself a favor and go into the settings and turn the motion blur down to 0. The game looks phenomenal, and I'm not sure why this disease that is motion blur continues to exist. The game really doesn't hold your hand. If you find yourself lost with no direction to go, before you give up and pull up a guide, let me just recommend that you spend some time simply being a cat. I progressed through this game by sheer accident, and most importantly, at my own pace. Let me give you one example. Early on, I met this robot grandma who makes ponchos out of electrical cables. And I thought, okay, that's kind of weird, but you do you. And then I noticed a merchant nearby sold cables, so I bought them, and then the grandma made me a poncho. I thought, oh shit, that's pretty cool, and forgot about it entirely until the geek loser nerd idiot stole it from me. But then later on, when I needed a part repaired, he fixed it right then and there for me since I gave him the poncho earlier. I'm not salty. And lastly, the UV light on B12 will pop the Zerk pimples, but it won't kill the Zerks inside. Your best practice is to honestly just sprint through to break them all and then gather up and kill them when they come out. The thing really is a piece of shit. It runs out of charge so quickly. But that's one of the charming things about this game. You don't have to fight. The Warcraft Hunter mains will enjoy the option of kiting and killing.
But if I was a hunter, I'd say motherfucking
You want to fight? Go for it. You want to run? You can also do that. There's no shame in that. You're a cat. Little poopy baby. We call her Poopy because she shits like a 46-year-old ex-con. It's okay. We're told this is normal. She is Floridian. More and more these days, I feel like as technology improves, the visual gap between these massive studios and indie developers will continue to get smaller and smaller. We are in real danger of seeing a future in which we hit the proverbial graphical glass ceiling, and instead of looking to improve story or gameplay to compensate, game developers will continue to normalize the creation of these shallow, uninspired games, artificially pumped full of unnecessary copy-paste filler for the sole purpose of game length that then gets shrouded under a blanket of graphical fidelity in order to fool the public. AAA games seem to have an almost outright refusal to be shorter in scope. Now more than ever, gamers want their money's worth, and with the industry making a collective push to make $70 the new industry standard price tag, it's possible we haven't seen the worst of it quite yet. Hey listen, before I end this video, I wanted to tell you all how deeply appreciative I am for all the incredibly nice comments and views I got on my last video. I went from bragging about 3 subscribers and 200 views to 1,500 subs and 60,000 views. I mean, what the fuck? I'm still in shock. I really enjoy making these videos. I used to make these mega cringe Call of Duty montages back when I was in high school, and I remember just having so much fun recording and editing them. I'll be honest, life's gotten a lot harder recently, and I reached the point where my one big out of playing games after work was no longer as enticing as it once was. A realization that both terrified and worried me. Making videos like this though has effectively reignited that fire in me, and even though I have a full-time job, actually getting a second job soon, but it's only till the new year, I do intend to keep trying to put out high quality-ish videos to the best of my ability. While I can't promise they'll be created in a timely fashion, as someone who watches way too much YouTube for my own good, I can promise that I respect you, the viewer, and will do my absolute best to make videos worthy of your time and worth watching. Thanks so much for your time. Coconut LaCroix sucks my ass, and I'll see you in the next one.